Kev, our final game before Christmas is a trip up to York City on Saturday. Just tell us, first of all, maybe give us a bit of an insight what it's like being a head coach of head coach of a football club around Christmas time.
Yeah, busy.
Yeah.
It's a good time of year because there's games on Boxing Day, New Year's Day. It's slightly different, but it's something that we've always done and all I've known really even as a player. So nothing's too different for me. Gets you out the house if you want, and because otherwise when I'm stuck indoors, I'm doing jobs and I'm meant to be doing jobs. I don't do them, but I'm useless. But yeah, it's a busy time, of course, but really good time for football. Big crowds in, and obviously the festive period is an important one.
Yeah, definitely. And we've seen as well a lot of the work that the club have been doing, honouring community champions this week. Also the visits to Havens hospices in the lead up to Christmas, which is so important, isn't it, to connect into the local community at such a time as Christmas?
Yeah, without a shadow, and I think a credit to everyone at the football club behind the scenes who've made it happen. For ourselves, and I think the players going to Fair Havens and Little Havens and the work that goes on there and just seeing the amazing places and gives you a perspective on life as well, away from the football bubble, to see what goes on. And, people are so much less fortunate than us that, we get to play football for a living and be involved in football. But opens your eyes to, what goes on and people around Christmas that's happening. And so I've got to say all credit to everyone at the football club for the work that goes on behind the scenes as well.
Yeah, we'll be hearing more about that a little bit more next week with some videos on those visits. Yeah. But touching upon the football, and obviously last weekend was a point at home to Hartlepool, which made it 5 games unbeaten. Is it pleasing to be able to head to one of the title challenges at the moment, to in that sort of run of form?
Yeah, a bit of both. I think it's as you say, 5 unbeaten. We would like to have 3 points on the board from last week. But very little in the game. A couple of good chances that we had we couldn't take. Do we want more? Of course. But you should take confidence from picking up points. And as you say, going into a team who are doing ever so well and are full of confidence.
Yeah, if you look at the team's sort of home records in our division, they're of course right up there. So maybe in that sense, it doesn't maybe get any harder than a trip to York. Is it about going there with the belief, though, to that we can put in a performance?
Yeah, without a shadow. I think, look at our form away from home has been good in terms of some of the performances that we've had already this season. And as you say, their home form is very good. They'll have a big crowd following them, of course, before Christmas, and I'm sure they'll be right behind them and make it as difficult as possible for us. Our job's to make sure we perform and, do everything we can to get the result, which we know we're capable of.
Yeah, we'll be backed by a large number of away followers, probably over 500, which is fantastic. York's always a good away day, isn't it? Yeah. You'll be looking to hopefully give them an early Christmas present, all the cliches.
Of course, there. Yeah, all the cliches. Yeah, of course. We know we travel in excellent numbers, and we're very grateful to the fans for that. And we've had some good ones this year, as we continue to do. And as you say, we want to give them something before Christmas, and hopefully we can do that.
Brilliant, thank you.
Kevin, just reflecting momentarily on the Hartlepool game, you said it was, at the time, it was probably 2 points drop, you felt like, but on reflection now, what's the biggest takeaway from that game for you?
Yeah, I think there was obvious frustration around the place that we haven't done more to score possibly, but, credit to Hartlepool to a certain extent that they're dogged, they're tough. We probably didn't do enough in the final third, we know that. Not for the want to try and maybe being a bit braver, which we've spoke about. But, there's a clean sheet, which you always fall back on a positive, of course, but wanting to get better all the time.
And the manager after the game, Lenny Lawrence, he described Southend as being in a false position. And you've talked before about how you want to make Roots Hall certainly a difficult place to go in with, a difficult play to interface. So when you hear opposition managers saying these things about your team, how does it feel that that's the perception you're putting out there?
Yeah, well, listen, we know, of course, we want to be better at home. I think there comes with, there's a few different things that go along with that in terms of you speak to opposition coaches, etc., after their game, and you've got 7,000 in there, so they know it's a big game for them, and they can raise their game, and they make it difficult for you, of course, and sometimes that can be difficult to break down. But it also adds a little bit of pressure to our lads, who perform in front of 7,000 different. A lot of teams don't have that in this league, and that's a different pressure that we've got to live with. But we still got players who are learning to deal with that, which we've got to do, and that's part and parcel. That should be a privilege, not a pressure. So we've got to get better at that. But a lot of stuff that we know we're doing is good, but we've got to improve. We know that. I think we're top in the league for the most crosses. So, and there's a lot of stats that back up we get into the right areas, and we've got to be a bit braver maybe in the final third moments.
And I think what a big driving factor about that, you've got so many players available now as well. You've got lots of people coming back from injury, lots of people coming in, and it's really going in the right direction.
Yeah, I think we're a squad where we're more competitive in terms of, we've never had to leave anyone out the squad, which you can only pick 11 to start and 7 subs. So, that's part and parcel of it. We watch training every day to standard of training, who's at it. We can feel that. We get a smell of things and where it's at. But I wouldn't say any bigger than is normal in the league. So, yeah, listen, competition's there and people have got to perform.
May I ask about Zach Geacock, how he's doing?
Yeah, he's getting better. Still with Lincoln at the minute, and we'll hopefully have some news on him today.
And Charlie Kendall, of course, got to see him make his debut for Southend. Just give us an idea as well what you saw about him that wanted to make you bring him into the squad.
Yeah, I think it was something we've looked at Charlie going back to Eastbourne when he scored a lot of goals. We think he's got a lot of attributes in terms of his pace. He's got the ability to score goals, we believe, even though he's been a bit stop-start in his career recently and not really got going. But, at the age he is, we think there's loads to improve. In terms of the deal being a very, very good one for us, what it was 2 or 3 months ago to what it is now was different. So it was the right time to do it.
He's coming into a group of forwards as well that are very competitive internally as well.
Yeah, and should be, and it's an area that, we want them all to step up, of course. And we need more goals. I think that's fair to say, but we're getting the ball in the right area. Can we be a little bit brighter, a little bit thing around the box, of course. And, there's as you say, it's competitive now. So, they've got to produce.
Just touching on that, we talk about how you get taking those chances, taking those moments. Can you train that, or is it something that just becomes instinctive, and also having that competition driving it as well?
A bit of both. I think you do a lot of coaching on getting to the right areas. It's up to, a bit of magic in the final third or taking the right chances when they come. Obviously, Saturday, disappointed not to score, but we scored 5 the week before. We scored 2 away from home. At Halifax, we scored 2 at home against Forest Green. So there's been goals there, maybe more from the forward areas, of course, but, I'm sure they'll come once they're bed in.
Well, we've touched on it is a tough place to go, but what is it from watching it? What is it that makes them a dangerous side to face?
I think they've scored a lot of goals. Talking about goals, it's obviously, they've got a forward who's in great form, of course, in Ollie Pearson, someone we know very, very well from last year and from having an interest there. So, yeah, and they've got some real threats all over the pitch, really well coached and have a good brand of football and in a real good moment in terms of confidence and a settled squad and built from last year. I think, Adam's had time coming in at the end of last year to really evaluate the squad and get it to where he wants, and you can see they've done that. I
mean, we've certainly seen while they are in that promotion chase, there are chinks in the armour, of course. We've seen Tamworth take a point against them last week, Altrincham as well. So how do you expose it? How do you create those opportunities? Yeah,
it's something we'll look at, of course, without giving too much of a game plan away. I think there's a lot of stuff in terms of tactics. What goes when you cross the line, you've got to perform, and I think that's important. You've got to take the moments in games which are right. But of course, I think every team will look at where they're good and where you can expose hopefully 1 or 2 things that when you watch you might see.
In this game as well, it will mark 23 games in the National League season, the halfway mark. So, looking back on what you've seen so far, how do you look back on this first half of the season?
I think there's a lot of frustration. I think without emphasising that, we want to be higher in the league. Of course we do, but we know a long-term plan of the club and what's going on behind the scenes and what's trying to be implemented. We're going to be very strategic in everything we do, in terms of transfers and looking at stuff and how we work. So, we've been here before when things haven't been exactly where we want them, but all we're trying to do is move forward with that and get them there. And when we do, we're sure we'll be a force to be reckoned with. There's going to be ups and downs, and there may be some frustrations within the fans that we want to be higher up in the league, but we've no God-given right to do that. But we are working hard. Everyone at the club is, and I'm sure once we really get going, we'll move up the league.
Is it too early for me to ask about targets for the second half of the season?
No, I think we have targets throughout the season we want to do, and we always break things down. But I don't want to look too far ahead because we want to keep picking up points.
Of course. Just on another side as well, the youth 11 have been doing really well. The under-19s certainly unbeaten in the last couple of rounds. Have you keeping an eye on anyone catching your eye over there at the moment? Yeah,
I think I speak to Danny Heath all the time, and listen, I'm always been reluctant to pick out names and add pressure to young players that don't want to build a bubble around them too early, because that can set them up, I think. But as long as they're progressing, I think we work closely with the Centre of Excellences and stay in touch so we know who's progressing, and they're pleased with some of them and think they've got some 1 or 2 good ones, which is good to hear.
Absolutely. Coming into, of course, the festive period, just looking a bit in the future as well. Christmas Day, what's the plan?
What's my plan?
Well, we do training.
Yeah, no, we usually we're pretty consistent with what we do on that. So without giving too much away, the lads know what to do. And listen, I think for me, it's all about family and being with people that you should be with.
On carving duties.
So no, that's to be fair. As I said before, I'm not very good at cooking, DIY, all that. No, I'll be hopefully like watching football, and listen, it's all about the kids for me.
Definitely so. And just to finish, obviously very sad to see the passing of Tony Bentley over the last 24 hours. I wonder, just talk to me about what maybe a role he played for you, any memories you have of him.
Yeah, I think it's anyone that associated with the club and importance to people. That's for me personally, always have people to look up for around the club, and I think it's always a period of the year it is as well. But their thoughts are always with the family and friends.
Thank you.
How's Gus?
Okay, he's trained this week, but still have just a bit of a lingering thing from what it was. So just monitor him daily, really, and we'll make a call on him closer to the time.
And it's been okay, because that was a challenge, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
Has he been okay?
Been okay. Still had it for a little bit, but has managed to train. So it's just another one that there's 1 or 2 that we'll have to make calls on, and obviously Ben would be one of them. But he's managed to do some training, which is good.
Have you watched that back? Did you think it was a foul, or what was your?
No, it's 50-50. I'm not sure how you could have given it either way, really. It looked like Ben just got there first. I think my biggest surprise that it was actually against him rather than it was just a collision, I think, wasn't it? So the area the keeper was on the pitch made it one that I think he's had to get something on the ball.
Yeah, and York away last year was for all the wrong reasons, but it sort of shows we have made progress.
No, without a shadow, I think for that period and the 48 hours after it was probably the maddest period I've had as a manager, because if you see what we went through to go into, I think we played Maidenhead after that on the Tuesday night, and being around 10 o'clock at night on a Monday night, scrambling around trying to find players and register players, not finding out until the day about our appeals for the 2 red cards that had failed. We only found that out on the afternoon of the game. So that was only ruling players out. And that was probably a low point, I think, for everyone. But we've moved on as a club, and you see the progress. Maybe it's not all on that upward curve straight away, but success is never like that. There's bumps on the road, and there's curves and ups and downs that once you keep doing the right thing and keep working and keep pushing, that eventually when you get there, it's probably all the more sweeter.